Right, Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of our resident imam, Tariq El Amin, Talim Committee Chair, Dr. Aisha El Amin, committee members, Dr. Gloria Bashir, and Brother Samson Siddiq, I want to welcome you all to today's Ramadan Reflections Talim. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone to place themselves on mute. And as the host, I do have the power to mute you, so I will use that power frequently if needed. But I want to remind everyone that today's Talim, as well as all past Talims and future Talims, are available on the Masjid Al-Taqwa YouTube channel. I want to thank all of you that are with us live. I also want to thank those who will be watching this Talim via the YouTube channel later on, maybe even next week. For those of you who don't know, today is a rather bittersweet day. We mark the 53rd anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. And while I'm not in the business of celebrating the death of the assassination of our leaders, particularly our freedom fighters, it is important that we note the gravity of today and what today represents, particularly in the context of the George Floyd murder trial and all of the racial unrest. I often reflect on how fortunate we are to have brothers like Malcolm X and Dr. King and so many others who gave their lives for our freedom, but I marvel at just how much work we have to do to move forward. So today, again, while today is a beautiful day, it's sunny outside, the weather is warm, and we're all here to have a robust discussion about preparing for Ramadan. It is, of course, important that we acknowledge today's sobering occasion. We all know that fasting during the month of Ramadan is one of the pillars of our faith as Muslims. Surah Al-Baqarah ayat 183 says, "O believers, fasting is prescribed for you, as it was for those before you. So perhaps you will become mindful of Allah, and surely Allah speaks the truth." So it's important that we are reminded that Ramadan then is a mercy, is a mechanism to help increase our taqwa. And while it doesn't always feel merciful when you're up at 3:30 in the morning eating that dry piece of toast, right, trying to chug that glass of water before you begin your day of fasting, it's important that Ramadan is in fact a mercy for all of us. As I mentioned in the brief introduction, that today we have 5 panelists who have the experience and the wisdom and the youthful energy to engender what we hope will be a robust and lively conversation about us heading, head first into this beautiful month of Ramadan. We have with us today an intergenerational panel. We have Zarifa Shahid, Dr. Jamila Madyoun, we have Asiya Sakur, Omar Yemeni, and Paul Madyoun. And just in a few minutes, I'm going to ask that each panelist briefly introduce themselves, and then we're going to launch into some Q&A, and again, hopefully have a lively conversation. A couple of things in terms of housekeeping. For those of you that are not on the panel but want to feel involved and engaged in this conversation, please make use of the chat function, which you'll find at the bottom of your screen. Just hit the looks like a dialogue box. You're going to hit that. You can type in your question and your comment. I'm going to do everything that I can to bring you into the conversation. Again, this is not supposed to feel like a lecture. It's supposed to feel like a conversation. And so we want you to take that seriously and please fully engage in the conversation. If you are not able to use the chat function, for example, if you are joining us by phone, you may text me at that number, and I will again ask your question or share your comment with the panel at large. So let's go ahead and get started. Enough talking on my part. I'm going to call on folks to introduce themselves. Again, part of my role here is to serve as the referee. We're kind of playing double dutch in this virtual environment. And so I'm going to do my best to try to organize the conversation and steer it in a way that everybody feels fully involved and every voice is heard. So I'm going to start by asking, I believe to be the youngest panelist, with us today, and that is Zarifa Shaheed. You want to introduce yourself briefly to the guests that are with us today?
You want to open up in Salat first, brother?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Brother Paul. Why don't we start with the opening dua, Al-Fatiha. Thank you for that reminder, Brother Paul. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. Thank you for that kind reminder, Brother Paul. All right, Sister Zarifa.
And excuse me, Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to say the youngest panelist you have today is actually my daughter, Asia, who is 10.
Oh, it's Asia. See, I didn't know. I didn't know, Dr. Jamila. Thank you for sharing.
And I'm not a doctor.
Oh, well, okay.
Not a doctor. Yeah. But Asia, she is 10, and I believe she's, Asia, are you on the line?
She is. Her initials are, yes. Please introduce yourself to the panelists. We're so fortunate to have you with us. Take yourself off mute, sister. There you go.
I'm Asia Sakor.
Tell them your age.
I'm 10.
Okay. Anything else?
Say I'm 10.
Why don't you tell them one thing about yourself, something that you love to do?
I like to read.
All right, that's a beautiful thing. You already have an advantage. Right on. Thank you for joining us, dear sister. Nice to meet you virtually. All right. Jump on in. Almost the youngest person on the panel.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Also, hi, Asia. And you can see me now, probably. I'm Zarifa. I'm 19 years old. I am currently a student at University of Illinois, downstate at Urbana-Champaign. I'm studying global studies. International relations is like my interest field. And yeah, I've been a member of the Masjid Al-Taqwa community since I was like a baby. I was very small, so many of you probably know me since before I was, actually when I was younger than Asia, right? So yeah, hello everybody.
Great to see you, and great to hear that you're doing so well at U of I, Zarifa. Good to see your face. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Sister Jamila. Not Doctor. Now, you working on your doctorate, sister? You're muted. You're muted.
Okay, I said not at all.
Not at all.
Everyone. My name is Jamila Madyoun, so that's probably where the confusion comes with Brother Paul's beautiful wife is Dr. Madyoun.
Gotcha.
So that's where, you know, the confusion, but I'm Jamila Madyoun, and I have been a member of the Chicago Muslim community since I was born. I was born into the Chicago Muslim community. I attended University of Islam and then Sister Clara Muhammad Schools. My mother was a teacher there, so I have strong roots in this community. And I think what I have to bring to this discussion is a unique perspective of someone who has experienced Ramadan and 3 different transitions of our community, from the Nation Days to the first, you know, that we call the first experience, to under Imam Muhammad, until, you know, the times we are presently post since the passing of Imam Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with him. I work with children, that is my love. That's why you see all of this behind me. I teach English to students around the world. Before that, I taught in Muslim school in Rhode Island. I am an author. That's what I'm very proud of. And I have several books. I have a few books under my name, Jamila Madyoun, on Amazon. But I also have my first Muslim, African-American Muslim fiction book that came out under the name Sophia Ali. So pick it up. Look for it, pick it up. And it's actually part of what we call the Ramadan Nights series. So we're very excited to bring this to the community. As for Ramadan, I spend most of my time working with youth. If Sarifa can tell you and other youth have told you, Ramadan after Ramadan, I'm usually involved in planning or participating or hosting youth activities. And I've been doing this for more than 20 years. And that's as far as I could say, since I only claim to be 20 years old. That is all.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. I would love for you to, if you have, a website or links to a way in which we can purchase the books, that would be great. If you want to pop that in the chat, we can definitely do that. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn over to Omar.
Right. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Walaikum salam, brother. Don't look so serious, brother Omar. We having a wonderful, happy, joyous conversation today, brother.
Well, you know,
okay.
I kind of have a permanent thing on my face. I don't mean no harm.
I got you.
You know what I mean? This is a look, but this is a wonderful. So Omar Yamini, I was born and raised in this community. Went to Claire Muhammad School on Stony Island. We spent many years there. Community. That is the importance of for me with Masjid Al-Taqwa, because I was raised in that kind of community center. We all knew each other. Parents knew each other. Sister Zakia could reach across and slap my face, and then go tell my mama she did it. That was the kind of thing we had. And then, being raised with my brothers and sisters in this community is unlike anything else. And it's a little bit different for me at my age, because I didn't grow up in the Nation of Islam. With that move, the way my parents and some of our parents did, my generation, our Islamic education came straight from Imam W.D. Muhammad, and that was just our foundation. So we didn't have other influences. I have no Christian influences. So it was just flat out how Imam Muhammad taught this religion to us. Ramadan is special for me. I got married during Ramadan. My first daughter was born during Ramadan, and actually I wrote and completed a book that helped launch my professional career, and it was all during Ramadan. So I can get selfish, and I don't mean to. It's more that I understand my relationship to my Lord, and that's what it is. It's more of, when I say selfish, is listen, I know what I need to do to get these blessings, and I really don't be thinking about other people and what they're doing and how they need to be doing to get, because I'm like, I need all mine. And Common has remember the rapper Common? He's Chicago. He has a hook in his song. He says, I wish I can give you this feeling. I wish I can give you this feeling. That's how I feel with people during Ramadan. I'm like, I wish I could tell you what this is like. But for believers, they understand. So that's my few minutes. And Allahu Akbar, every year I get excited. Ramadan is that friend that you love to see coming, but you hate to see go.
Thank you, dear brother. I'm going to turn over to Brother Paul.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Yeah, glad to be here. Appreciate being invited to be one of the panelists. I became a Muslim in 1972 under Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Nation of Islam. A little ways back, and I started working in the businesses. Became a teacher at University of Islam. Also made the transition, once the Imam came in, and been here ever since. I have some reflections, and I think Lionel, you're going to talk about the reflections later on. You're asking questions, so I'll hold off of those. But right now, I'm semi-retired. I do substitute teaching in the high schools in the south suburbs, and I also collaborate with Dr. Constance Shabazz in developing the Salam Community Wellness Center, and that's kind of occupying my time right now. So that's about what I'm doing.
Well, thank you, brother, and thanks to all of you all for your introductions. I failed to introduce myself. For those that don't know, my name is Lionel Allen Jr. I'm going to be your moderator today, and I'm again very excited to be able to moderate this very important conversation. So let's start with our first question for the panel. And that is, and some of you sort of touched on this a little bit in your opening introductory remarks, but as we head into Ramadan, what are you most looking forward to? What do you get excited about when you think about Ramadan being right around the corner? I'm going to ask Brother Paul to start us off.
Okay. I was over the period of time I've been thinking about Ramadan in a it might be in sort of a conditional way. There's two aspects I really kind of focus on. One is what I call the linear dimension, and that is when I look at Ramadan as far as what Allah has created for us, I see that whatever He has created for us is to allow us, since He is the Arab, the nourisher to perfection, then whatever He has created for us is really to help us to grow, to get that consciousness that we had, as the Imam always talked about, that consciousness, that inner consciousness that we had from our inception. And the other aspect is a vertical aspect, the dimension that allows us to grow. On the linear aspect, Ramadan is something that we become engaged in, go through the year. It's repeated again the next year, and hopefully, we develop. But then there's another aspect that I believe that creates a vertical dimension, whereas each of those years there's a layer, there's a spiritual layer that we build and grow toward that consciousness that we all are aspiring to. And it's just like a tree, every year the tree puts on a new layer, and it strengthens us, it protects us, and it allows us to grow to new heights. And so for me, Ramadan is a recurrence of the ability to practice, Islam throughout the year, not just in the month, but it gives us the impetus to carry on the practices that we engage in the month of Ramadan throughout that year. And obviously, for me, obviously, it gets weaker and weaker as the year progresses, and then it recurs, and gives me more energy, more to engage in further growth. And if we look at that, our Islam, it's not the same 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It grows. So whatever we were when we look back in time, and we look at now, there should be a continuous growth that allows us to become more conscious of our duty and our approach to Allah.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, Brother Paul, but what I took away from your comments was what you're looking forward to is this just the kind of concept of growth, evolution, development, reminders of
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Thank you for those wise comments. I'm going to pull Sister Zarifa in to hear her reflections on what she's most looking forward to as well.
First of all, I want to thank Brother Paul for his comments. That was actually I think I really took a lot from that. I kind of feel I guess the layers that you were talking about towards the end of your comment, like, because I feel like I get something different out of Ramadan, like every year. The older I get, the more I understand. But I'm really most looking forward to, I guess, a sense of community. That's something that I've always really appreciated about Ramadan. It brings the community together. It allows everybody an opportunity to sit down, you know, even if we're not necessarily going to break bread with each other like we normally would this year. We have like more time for conversation. You know, there's always, you know, we're all in this together. And so there's a sense of community that's not necessarily always there and during the other parts of the year. So I appreciate that. Like, even within, you know, your own home, you know, everybody gets up and, you know, eats breakfast at 3 a.m. Like, that is a very strange thing that you do not normally do in your life. And so, like, it's a bonding experience when you read together and everybody's, you know, we eat together, we fast together, and it just provides a very strong sense of community that's needed, that allows you to, you know, really learn something, not only about like the community, but also like yourself. And I think, you know, with that, with the connection that you create with your community, with Allah, it's just, I always look forward to Ramadan. It's just a wonderful, wonderful time of year.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Asiya, I want to bring you in on the conversation. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. So what are you most looking forward to?
Well, I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I want you to think about it, all right? And we're going to come back to you, okay? All right, so promise me you'll think about it, inshallah. Brother Omar, you thinking about your wedding anniversary, brother. We already know what you're looking forward to.
Bro. So the thing about Ramadan, looking forward, is I know that my Lord is my friend. I do know that. And I ask my friends for help all the time. I'm not ashamed to ask my loved ones for help. And during Ramadan, I do that a lot. Whatever it is, I work harder during Ramadan, like at work, or if I'm doing whatever it is, especially if I'm building my business. I work harder during Ramadan because the focus is intense. It's probably not me, but I just know that during Ramadan, the focus is so much more intense than any other time throughout the year. Ramadan kind of comes off like the playoffs. You ever watch how professional athletes in the playoffs, they're not like the regular season. They are not the intense. The focus is so intense of the gameplay, the how they deliver. It is skillful. It's like, wow, they are at their best. That's how I feel during Ramadan. And many of you know my story, know my past, and I had to learn myself. I spent so many years in prison, and I had to like literally learn me. And when you know yourself, I know I have certain particular quirks, issues that I need my Lord to help me with. And I focus more on those particular things during the month of Ramadan because I know where I struggle, and I know myself, and I know that's the whole purpose of it. That's the entire purpose of Ramadan. It's like you ever know how soldiers are out there on that battlefield and they need some R&R, and they pull them back. They pull soldiers back from that battlefield and give them some rest and rest up before you get back to fighting. That's what Ramadan is. Allah pulls us out that fight, gives us 30 days of R&R to get our stuff together before we got to get back out there. And so that is my focus. That is how I see it. And again, when you know who you are, when you know yourself, you can focus on particular things about you during that month, about yourself, to be better. And so that's how I use my month.
Thank you, brother. Sister Jamila, I'm going to ask you to jump in. And just so you all know, the sister did place the link to where you can purchase her book on Amazon.com.
You know, thank you for mentioning that. But it's hard to be at the end because everyone, oh no, I hope I'm not breaking up.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Sister.
Okay, good. It's hard to be at the end because everyone made such valid points. And of course, I agree with all of them, especially, you know, the points about community and taking it to a higher level, our iman and our ibadah. For me, one thing that Ramadan does is about reconnecting to Allah. And I feel like it's like a broom coming in, sweeping out the cobwebs. You didn't even realize we're there. You know, things getting a little dusty on this, on top of your Quran. You didn't realize, you know, this is, it's a chance to dust off your heart, really. And for me, I go through Ramadan, I focus, I turn off my TV, I turn off my computer, I really try and read and do as much as I can, give as much as I can, sadaqah, you know, I really try and increase my acts, and I feel that coming back to me, and I feel Allah showing me, you know, this is what you should be working on, this is what you should, this is where, you know, this is where I need you to be, you know, where places, you know, I feel that commitment. Whenever I come out of Ramadan, on that 30th day, I'm, you know, shiny and new, you know, like somebody coming back from Hajj, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna pray so many sunnahs, I'm gonna fast every Monday, you know, everything is all fired up about how much of a better, how much more commitment I'm gonna give to Allah and this deen and this community. And towards the end, coming back towards Shaban, I realized how much I've kind of lost a little bit. I've come back down off that Ramadan high. And by the time I'm back to Ramadan again, I need it. It comes when you need it. And so by the time you come back to it, I'm realizing that my tank is getting low. Time to pull over and get some more gas. So for me, Ramadan is about that renewal, and I love it. And when it's gone, I miss it. I miss it very much, and I love it. And I especially love meeting with my community. Last Ramadan was very tough for me because we didn't get a chance to really be together. That's one of the things I love about Ramadan is being together. But what I found was that it gave me a newer and a deeper connection with my family, because we got a chance to really be together as Muslims in a way that we hadn't connected before. So, alhamdulillah.
Thank you for that. I know you started by saying it's hard to go last, but you dropped some really important nuggets there, two of which I captured, which is Ramadan is the time when we sort of dust off our hearts. What a beautiful way to sort of frame this experience, the rejuvenation of our iman. And the second point that Dr. Aisha also, I think, resonated with her is this notion of it always comes on time, right? No matter when Ramadan falls within the course of the calendar year, for us, it always comes when we need it the most. And I certainly feel that way. I see, I'm going to come back to you if it's okay. If you have any ideas you want to share, if not, no pressure, we'll move on to the next question.
I normally like going to the masjid and talking to people.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I normally just like going to the masjid and talking to people.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that sense of community right there, I think everybody's been talking about, reconnecting with our loved ones and reconnecting with other believers. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so we started this conversation by talking about the things that we are most looking forward to. Right, but we know that Ramadan does not come without some challenges, right? Some would even say that it's a test in some ways, right? So I want to talk a little bit about the challenges that are associated with Ramadan, or the most challenging aspects from your perspective, as you think about your preparation for Ramadan? Sister Jamila, so you don't accuse me of making you laugh, I'm going to start off with you.
You know, I probably need to be last on that one because it's a tough one, because I never feel like Ramadan is hard. And I feel bad about that sometimes, because I never feel like Ramadan is hard, because I'm a firm believer. One of my favorite ayats says that verily in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find comfort. So when you going through a stressful time, I repeat that phrase to myself, you know, no matter how difficult it is, think about Allah, you'll feel better. And so even though it seems like I have non-Muslim friends who I'm like, isn't it so hard? It's so difficult. I'm like, no, because when you really reflecting on Allah, all the challenges you have get easier. And I went through a very, very, very difficult time one Ramadan, when I was kind of going through my divorce, and it was difficult. But at the end of the Ramadan, when I salamed out at Eid prayer, turn my face to the left, turn my face, it's like all my troubles just rolled off my shoulders and everything was fine. Because during Ramadan, I just feel like it kind of puts you in that cocoon, and it teaches you how to deal with difficulties. So it becomes easy because you're in a position where you have to be patient. And if we are patient, that solves so many of our problems. That's why the prophet said, do not become angry, because if we are patient, we could solve a great deal of our problems, but just being patient. And so for me, the difficulty is when it's over. For me, the difficulty is when it ends, because you're taking my tools away. You're taking my crutch away. So maybe I'm I love Ramadan so much. I see the problems people have. Shaitan is supposed to be on his chain, but people still be acting up. So I see that, but I feel like I have all my tools. I'm fully equipped, you know, during that month. It's when the month ends that's more difficult for me.
Yes, yes. In the interest of time, I'm not going to pose this question to the other panelists, but if there is a panelist that wants to respond to something that Sister Jamila said or offer a different take, you know, please feel free to chime in.
All right, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but I think the struggles, I would say, are a part of Ramadan. I think that helps grow you. But as a child who was born into summer Ramadans, and like at the very beginning, it was always extremely hard to hold through all of those long, like the days did not get shorter, they got longer every single day. But they built your strength, you know. And I guess now that Ramadan is moving towards the spring, now I deal with, you know, fasting during finals week, and like that's a challenge. That's a challenge on its own. Oh yes, sister. Yes, I agree. Summer Ramadan as a teen, no. But I think it builds your muscles in a way that, you know, you learn to appreciate the days where you're like, oh, it's not a whole, you know, over 12 hours you're fast. That's like, it just becomes a blessing, I guess, as we move back, even if it is during finals week. And I think this year, as it moved back further, those will be the last days of Ramadan. So it will really be something. But I think for me, I think the struggle of those parts makes you stronger as a part of Ramadan for me. But yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I was at Masjid Al-Fatir some years ago during one of those Ramadan seasons that fell in the middle of summer, and it was August. The young brother stood up to take his shahada, and the Imam asked him, "Are you sure you want to do this when it's 18-hour fast on Ramadan?" You know, of course he was joking, but yeah, we all recognize how difficult it is, and it doesn't matter if you are 18 or not. Thirst is thirst, whether you're 45 or 13. So I'm gonna keep the train moving. Brother Omar, what types of goals do you typically set for yourself or your family during Ramadan, if you set goals at all?
That's interesting. For for the most part, goals are internal, they're personal, or it's a business goal. I know me, and so I know I have to watch my mouth. I could be a bit aggressive and fiery. And so I know that about myself, and that is one of the major focuses I have on me during the month. But what was the rest of your question?
Well, just if you typically set goals, what were some of those goals, right?
Yeah, so like some years ago, one of my goals was finishing a book. I wanted to write a book during Ramadan, and I was able to do that because of the focus. I didn't have no idea this could be done in how you write a book in 30 days, but I did it. And so actually that was like a precedence to let me know what can be done during Ramadan if you focus. So some personal goals have always been in the internal ones, in which I like literally need to get myself together so I can be a better husband, a better father, a better friend. And those are the things I focus on during Ramadan. I pray for. You know what I learned? I learned a long time ago not to pray for patience. I just stopped doing it. You don't want to be tested with patience. So there's some things I've learned not to ask for, and there's some things I learned to ask for.
Yes, yeah. Thank you for that. Brother Paul, do you tend to set goals for yourself or for your family during the holy month of Ramadan? And if so, what are some of those goals?
You know what? I think I agree with Brother Omar that, well, for me anyway, the goal setting is more of an inward thing, and for me to carry on after Ramadan is over throughout the year, you know, to develop more sensitivity, more caring, to be more diligent in studying and you know, those type of spiritual things, you know, you know, I need it. I mean, I need the emphasis brought about every year, you know, to keep me motivated, because those are my weaknesses, you know, and I think we do need to explore what our weaknesses are. You know, it's kind of hard for people to talk about their weaknesses. I mean, you know, certainly, you know, strengths are good, you know, but then, you know, who wants to admit their weaknesses? And when we can do that, I think Allah will give us more help into developing them and make us better Muslims throughout the year. And so, like I said, for me, the Ramadan thing should be just carried on throughout the whole year, you know. And that's what I believe that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Yeah. Most of us are pretty adept at pointing out the faults and shortcomings of others. It's the self-work that's difficult, right? It's building that emotional intelligence, that self-awareness, that's the real work. And it's also, again, the most difficult work to engage in. So unfortunately, we are getting close to our time, because I have to turn it over to Imam Tariq, who is going to share a couple of announcements with us. But I do want to close with one final question, and it's more to tap into your experiences as Muslims who've been down this path before, and I'm sure everyone else on the call looks like have experienced fasting during the holy month of Ramadan. But what advice would you give? What would you share with folks that are listening, folks that will be listening in a couple of weeks as they watch the recording of this on YouTube? What advice or counsel would you give them to make Ramadan as productive and as successful as possible? What words of wisdom would you share? I want every panelist to respond. I'm going to start with Brother Paul, if that's okay.
Yeah. You know, with everything in our life as Muslims, and I'm saying this from experience, is that we should call on our Creator, you know, to give us all of the help that we need, and He knows better than we what we need. And that's, the salat, the practices, all of the practices that we engage in are geared toward giving us that strength, those layers that I was talking about earlier, and then once, and I'm going back, 30, 40 years, and like I said, we aren't the same person that we were spiritually that we were 10, 20 years ago, so for someone who is engaging in Islam, just starting out Ramadan, that, this is the benefit that you seek, and I assume that most Muslims, or all Muslims, seek to become closer to Allah, and in order to do that, He has given us this help. That's the menu, that's our menu, and so just stay with the menu, and you'll be successful.
Let's get some shirts made, y'all. Let's get some shirts. Say, stay with the menu. How about that? We can sell them with Sister Jamila's books. Sister Zarifa, jump in and give us a little counsel from your perspective.
I think just the most important thing is to watch yourself in a way that, like, pay attention to where you're struggling, pay attention to what you're having trouble not doing, pay attention to even what it is that what you're doing well at, and find out where those are, especially in the earlier days, because those are the things you're going to need to work on. Those are the things that are going to come back and haunt you Ramadan after Ramadan if you don't pay attention and try to work on them, while you have the opportunity. So it's a time for some self-reflection, I think, as a few of the panelists before me have said. So definitely be on the lookout for your own strengths and weaknesses during Ramadan, because they really do come out then.
Well said. Well said. Thank you for that. Omar.
Yes, well said. Your strengths. This month is between you and your Lord, and you do your best job. And everybody knows their strengths, and those strengths vary. Last year was the first year I've ever felt thirst or hunger, and I chopped that up to just being young and strong. I've been fasting since I was 13 years old, 12, 13 years old, and last year, my 44th year, was the first time I ever was hungry or thirsty. And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's a body thing, and maybe be some challenges as I get older, moving forward. But I'm aware of it, like Zarifa said, of some of those strengths. So I'm mindful that there may be some changes here going forward, and I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I'm accepting them.
Yes. Asiya, you want to add something? Some advice you have for maybe other 10-year-olds or 11-year-olds that are going to be fasting for Ramadan this year, inshallah?
Not really.
No? Okay. Well, if you think of something, let me know, okay? Sister Jamila, close us out. You're muted, sister. And you said you just dropped a bomb too. I know you did. So you got to go back and repeat what you just said.
I said I was going to give some spiritual advice, but I just want to jump on with what Brother Omar said very quickly. If you are a new Muslim, in terms of food and getting hungry and feeling thirsty, watch your diet, watch what you're eating. You got to include those healthy fibers. A sister from the Middle East told me, eat your water. Eat your water. And by that, she means your cucumber, your watermelon, foods that are full of water and fiber will help you make it through the day. And if you have to reverse, flip your meals. So if you're used to eating a heavy meal at night and a light meal in the morning, flip it. And that will help you get through the day. So you got to watch what you eat very closely. But I just piggybacked off of Omar on that, because there may be some people who are new who honestly don't know how do we make it 12 hours. So eat wisely. The other thing I was going to say is tune out. Tune out the noise. That's the TV, the Facebook, the gossiping, the phone calls, the texts. Tune out, tune into your Lord, and dig into that Quran. The Ramadan is the month of the Quran. You want to read that from cover to cover, and you want to really reflect on what it means. I have some people who say, oh, I read the Quran 5 times this month. That's too fast. That's too much.
Mm.
Slow down, reflect. And if you don't finish it, it's fine. But the miracle of Islam, the miracle of Muhammad was his Quran. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam was this Quran. So dig into that Quran and you'll be fine.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to ask the audience to join me in giving a virtual round of applause to our panelists for sharing their wisdom and their counsel as we prepare for this holy month. Thank you all so much for your insightful and thoughtful comments. Unfortunately, as what happens in most cases, we are out of time. I'm going to turn over now to our beloved Ma'am Tariq, who's going to share the masjid's plans for Ramadan and entertain any questions you all may have. Thank you all so much for your participation. And that's not just to the panelists, but those of us who are with us, who are listening intently and chatting in the chat box. Thank you all so much for your active engagement. Appreciate it. Brother and ma'am, it's your show.
Thank you all again. Thank you for a wonderful panel discussion and the facilitation, Dr. Lionel and the Talim Committee. So we're going to go ahead and close out with Surah Al-Asr. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal Asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Illa ladina amanu wa amilu salihati. Wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Amen.
Ameen.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
All right. Wa alaikum assalam.
Great job, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Great job.